Hi, I'm Brian Russell, and it's my absolute privilege to serve as your instructor this semester for OT502, Elementary Hebrew 2. This is the second semester. We have a relatively small class this term, which is exciting because that means you'll get more essentially one-on-one time with me. It's almost like a seminar. So my goal this semester is really straightforward. I want to prepare you all to be able to take OT700 level exegetical classes, if that's your end goal, and most importantly, to be able to read Hebrew fluently, hopefully without helps. And so essentially what we're going to have to work on this semester is to solidify your learnings from the first term. Now, I know that we probably have persons with varying levels of comfort with Hebrew, depending on how long ago you did the first class and even who the instructor may have been. And so I want you to know that my goal is to get everybody up to speed in a really good way. And so what we're going to do is the very first weekend we're together, I'm going to give a lot of introductory materials to you, and we're going to essentially read Hebrew. Because as I learned a long time ago, and I took Hebrew 1 and 2 at Asbury in the summer of 1992, 8 weeks. It was basically, I guess it was July and August of 1992, I did Hebrew during the summer terms. And one of the key things for learning biblical Hebrew is learn a lot of vocabulary and then spend a lot of time actually reading out of the BHS text, our Hebrew text. The biggest stumbling block that you have to sight reading Hebrew, well, there's really two stumbling blocks. One is vocabulary. We're going to remedy that by having you memorize a baseline number of vocabulary words, which will mean you'll know the most frequently used words. So what that does is that will limit the amount of other words that you're going to need to look up. And I'm going to share with you a resource that can help you to do that. Because what I want you to avoid is using online resources to essentially, it's not cheating, but what you're really doing is you're robbing your own mind of being able to engage the text. So I want you to learn how to sight read as much as possible. So vocabulary is a stumbling block. And the second one, probably the hardest piece, is weak verbs. And what I mean by weak verbs, we'll spend a lot of the semester mastering the different types of verbs. Those are the verbs that have the consonants that create issues with the morphology. So obviously the gutturals fall into that. Yods and vavs. Sometimes verbs that start with a noon. The letter noon is a weak consonant. Those are some of the examples, and there's essentially a whole bunch of different types of weak verbs. You can look at John Cook's book. He introduces weak verbs, so make sure you have this text with you. Also, there's going to be a free PDF of Cook's newer book that we'll use parts of it, but one of the parts that we will use is he has long discussions of the weak verbs and lots of charts, and so we'll be using that as a reference. So we're going to work on vocabulary, work on the weak verbs, and that's, if we can do that this second semester, you're all going to feel really good about your Hebrew. Now we're also going to learn some syntax, and to do that we're going to be using the other textbook that I've required. It's the Arnold and Choi textbook on biblical Hebrew syntax. That's the book that I use in the exegesis classes. So we're going to do basically supplement readings out of the BHS text itself. So make sure you bring your Hebrew Bible to our weekend classes together. Again, we meet the very first weekend of the semester, so I'll see you all on Friday and Saturday, the 7th and the 8th. Be here at no later than 1 p.m. Now, I will say this, on Friday, the 7th, we have a chapel service at 11:30, so it would be fantastic for you all just to join and worship. We can worship together at 11:30. There'll be lunch here, so we can actually even grab a bite to eat together if you are all here, and we'll begin our Hebrew class at 1. We'll go 1 to 5 on Friday. And then Saturday we'll be at it all day. And again, the goal is going to be to read a lot of Hebrew together. So our class runs from 2 the 3rd, which you see in this video, all the way to the 15th of May. And it talked about the books already. I mean, you're going to succeed in this class basically by doing the weekly assignments. I'm going to have a short passage for us to read each week, and I'll have a video that breaks it down, goes over the verbs, and tries to teach you something new about Hebrew syntax every single week. We're going to have a vocabulary quiz. We'll have some shorter quizzes throughout the semester, and we'll have a final exam at the very end of the term. We'll see how the class is going on on what's actually going to be in the exam, but I'll make sure you're well prepared for it on our second weekend together, which will be all the way down on the 2nd of May, and we'll spend another day solidifying all of our learning. So a lot of the class will be during those 2 weekends, but in the time in between, learn vocabulary and work on the weekly assignments. Now, if those of you who've never had me as a professor, or maybe those who've had me, want you to know that I'm for you. I want this to be a really successful, awesome learning experience for you. So if you have any problems this semester, if you feel like you're getting behind, the key thing that I need you to do to help, as they used to say back in that movie, Jerry Maguire, help me help you. So if you have any problems, ask me questions. You can send me direct emails, brian.russell@asburyseminary.edu. You can ask questions in the forum that we'll have on the online class, but reach out if you're having any kind of problems. And I'll also be doing some Zoom sessions throughout the semester to help you. These will be voluntary. If you aren't able to come, I'll actually in person, I'll make sure it's recorded so you can see it, but also have some time for some interaction directly as a class, or whoever's able to come live, send me questions, and I'll be doing live Zoom sessions throughout the semester. So I'll get you all updated on those dates and times for those. Again, they'll be recorded, so there's no required attendance for those, but I do that just to make sure that we can stay engaged. Again, I'm Brian Russell. Can't wait to get started. This is going to be so fun. I love Hebrew. I love biblical languages. It's what I cut my teeth on. And when I first started teaching at Asbury, I was the Greek and Hebrew teaching fellow. And I taught Hebrew a lot between, again, it's been a long time now, 94 to 96. And even when I started on the Orlando campus, I was the Hebrew instructor for multiple years until Bill Patrick took it over. This is, I think, the second or third time I've done OT502, and it's always a pleasure to find students who are interested in learning Hebrew really well. So we're going to have a blast. So no sweat. Just be willing to put the time in, and you're going to be really happy with where you are at the end of the semester. And those of you who are going to continue on into exegesis with me in the summer, we're going to have in the June our hybrid version of OT710, exegetical studies in the Pentateuch. And that's kind of my sweet spot as a faculty member and as a scholar. So just can't wait to work on some texts with you out of the Pentateuch in the summer of those who are going to continue. So as you can tell, I'm excited. So jump in, start learning. I will see you on Friday. Oh, by the way, start off with a couple of videos that I have ready just to give you a quick review, and then we'll jump in on Friday and Saturday. Make sure you have your Bibles, bring your texts, and we're good to go. And do note in the syllabus that you'll have a PDF that's uploaded already, and then if you don't have the Arnold Choi book, it's available as a free download too. So this is a cheap class. How many times is that going to happen? Anyway, I'll see you soon.